Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Hi, hello everyone. And today in this particular interview session, we have our very talented Gokul with us who has cracked the civil service examination with Air 804th rank. So I welcome you, Gokul, to this wonderful interview of Unacademy. Along with me, that is Nisha Nujumudeen, to share some wonderful moments with us, your experiences and what you feel, and for a wonderful message as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yes, I think I should take this opportunity because it is indeed a great pleasure for me to say that Gokul is also my wonderful junior and also part of my organization in Trivandrum called as Nirbhaya Institute of Human Development and Nirbhaya Debating Society. So that relation is also there between us, that cordial relation. So it is even a pride moment for me also personally that, yeah, one of my junior from the same Trivandrum Marivanas College where I studied has got this civil service examination. So it's a wonderful moment for me. So let me congratulate you from the bottom of my heart for this wonderful achievement in spite of all your difficulties. And you're very special, Gokul, because you proved that there is no limitations to anything in life. Hannah, Gokul?
And yeah, that's it. It's like, when you go out to do something, you can't just stay around thinking that, okay, I have this limitation, I have this problem. Because I've said before as well, limitations are, imposed by our own minds. Limitations become limitations only when we think of them as limitations. It sounds kind of cliche, but that is how it is. See,
Exactly.
everyone has problems, everyone has disabilities. Just because they are physical, just because they are more visible, does not mean that they are more problematic. Kind of people might have emotional disabilities and we don't get to see them. But
Exactly.
that's what I always think. All people have problems, and problems are there because uh, they make us think, they make us find solutions.
Absolutely wonderful, wonderful. So I know the kind of journey what you underwent for civil service is not that easy. You have fought a lot of battles, you have cracked all those, and then you've made it down. So I think this is your first attempt, right?
Yeah, first attempt.
Yeah. So in the first attempt itself, Google has made it down. And now another important thing is he's a Malayali again, hailing from God's own country, that is Kerala, and even I'm from there. So പത്മനാഭന്റെ സ്വന്തം നാടായ തിരുവനന്തപുരക്കാരനായ ഗോകുലിന് ഒത്തിരി ഒത്തിരി സന്തോഷമില്ലേ ഗോകുലെ തിരുവനന്തപുരത്തിന്റെ അഭിമാനമായതില്?
അതെ, തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും. എനിക്കിപ്പം തിരുവനന്തപുരത്തിന് തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും എല്ലാ പ്രാവശ്യവും മിക്ക തവണയും സിവിൽ സർവീസിൽ കുറച്ച് ഓഫീസേഴ്സിനെ കിട്ടാറുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ എന്നെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് എന്റെ നാട് കാട്ടാക്കടയാണ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് ഇറ്റ്സ് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് എ റൂറൽ പ്ലേസ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് ഡീപ്പ് ഇൻ ട്രിവാൻഡ്രം. I would call it deep south. It's a very rural place, and in our area I think we haven't had a civil servant till now. Within the independent
Wonderful.
history of India, we haven't had a civil servant, and that is a proud fact for me, that I am the first person from that particular area to become a civil servant.
Wonderful. So I think that is again another feather added to your hat, I believe. So from Trivandrum, from the rural part, he is the first civil servant. Oh my God! Come on, this is really a moment to be, rejoiced as well. So now talking about the preparation and talking about the kind of stuffs you underwent. So I would not go with the normal interview flow where what did you study, nothing like that. I want to know few things from you. When you started your journey, when did you decide to start civil service? At what point of your life, your age or your phase?
I wasn't really thinking of civil service early in my youth or childhood, or anything. In fact, the reason I started to read the UPSC syllabus was entirely different from civil service. Like you yourself mentioned, I was part of Nirbhaya Debating Society.
Exactly.
I have been a passionate debater for ages. As back as I can remember, I was a passionate speaker and a debater. And when I came to college, what happened was there were all those senior people like you, many others who were brilliant, who were huge in those times. We could not get into a stage and defeat you people. We could not get one on you people. And I thought, okay, this particular accidentally, when I read about UPSC syllabus, I was thinking, okay, Indian polity, which is good for debating, the economy, geography, whatever. Let us leave geography, economy, history, everything. These things are the kind of things that would lend or give me an edge in debates. Out of my passion for debates and public speaking, I basically started reading the UPSC syllabus. Kind of,
Wonderful.
if you
Yeah.
if you go and say that, okay, according to Article 19, this and this happens in a debating platform, it's very difficult to contradict you. That is how I started reading the syllabus, the textbooks as such. But I started thinking about civil service, I think back in 2018. In Kerala, we had the 2018 floods, the first occurrence. What happened was, there were a lot of civil servants, quite dynamic civil servants, who came and kind of changed public perception. Even the older generations, even the generation of our parents, who were kind of not that that cozy about doing voluntary work and all, even they went out and did work in collection points. Even they went out and contributed somehow. This was due to quite a few civil servants here, young civil servants, and uh, that made me think, okay, these people, all kinds of things these people can do. They can even affect the public mood, temper, and tenor. And I was thinking, okay, anyway, I'm reading all these things, and I think I like this part of the service where there is a lot of public interactions and all. And I thought, okay, why not? I try a little hard. I become a little more focused, and then I would give an attempt. And that is how I started thinking about civil service as a career option.
So now you had a purpose for civil service, not
Yeah,
just you want to be an officer. So the
yeah,
purpose of Kerala floods, the contributions of the officers made you feel that, come on, you have a greater path to go in contributing to the process of nation building.
yeah,
Wonderful,
exactly.
Gokul. That's another hats off to you for such a dedication, I would say. And now, as you said, I know prelims is the first part of UPSC, right? The most important, because cracking the multiple choice question with ABCD options is the most important thing. So, what do you feel about prelims perspective? What strategy you went approach for the prelims perspective?
The thing is, I wasn't, part of any institutional coaching framework. Basically, it was kind of an accident. I took the 2019 prelims. uh, when I took the exam, I was hoping to just have an experience, just dip my toes in the water as such. What I was hoping to do was, in 2020, in the upcoming prelims, I was hoping to actually give a good preparation and then give the prelims. In 2019, I was just trying to get the experience, because at that point I had just completed my PG. My prelims exam fell exactly 2 days after the PG final exams finished. So
Okay.
I couldn't approach it from a conventional strategic point of view. But what I would say is, I've been reading, like I said, I've been reading for some time. And number two is, when you go out there to write the exam, what affects you the most is the tension that you carry with you, the stress you carry with you. If you can be clear headed, if you can be calm, composed, if you can read the question paper 3 4 times, take only those questions which you are rather sure of in the first reading, then level up, go thus. I think you'd score enough to crack the exam. Because if you are reading, if you are properly reading for some time, that means all the knowledge, all the information, all the facts you need are basically in your mind. Often what happens is, because you are muddled, because you are confused, because you are uh, kind of stressed out, these escape you. The unconscious impulses fail to reach you. And if you can keep yourself calm, under control, composed, you can basically collect these. You can have a connect with your unconscious, as it were, and that would give you an edge. There are all these conventional strategies, but beyond that, this is the only thing that I can offer. This is the only thing that I would offer.
Wonderful. So this is what you did for your prelims. So coming to mains, again, once you cross your prelims, here comes the mains perspective, right? So in the mains examination, what are the strategies that you followed? And regarding your optional as well, because optionals play a very important role for scoring good in civil service examination. So what was your strategy for choosing the optionals and to make a point that yes, you are cracking the mains examination as well?
See, what I think is the mains basically demands of you two things. First is your analytical skills, and second is your ability to make decisions in quick time. Basically, the interviews would also demand the same thing, but in mains you have to put it in writing, because almost every question that comes for mains, it has a tail, something like examine, comment, critically comment, give your opinion on, something like that, which means what you are supposed to do is you are supposed to read the question, formulate your arguments for or against or something like that within 5-6 seconds, and then start answering. So I've had an edge because, like I said, I was passionate about debating. And when you go for debating, what happens is the same way. You get a topic for debating some 2-3 minutes before the actual debate. Then your opponent would say something. You get just 3-4 seconds to formulate a response to that. The mains was kind of exactly like that. You get a question, you have to give a response and argue it to the hilt, and you get 3-4 seconds to do that. My advice or my strategy was, I actually never prepared for prelims and mains separately. I was basically preparing for the mains from second one, and prelims just happened along the way. When you read, always read with the analytical perspective on mind. Always read and make your opinions. Whatever you read, whatever you try to study, have an opinion, have a view on the thing, and have a depth of perspective. And if you have that, usually when the questions come, you'll be able to do justice to the answer within the stipulated time. And also, another thing that I would say is UPSC is conducting an exam for the civil service exam, which means that the exam selects people for serving civil, that is for serving the public. So always keep the perspective of the common man. Don't go for big words, jargon, that kind of thing. UPSC is asking you questions to be answered from the perspective of common man, because that is the people whom you ultimately serve. So UPSC would want you to give answers which are right, or which are correct, or which are apt from the perspective of the common man. And I think that is one important aspect which many aspirants forget in the race to get there. I think that is what I would say about mains. And then about my optional was Malayalam literature. The reason I selected that was, of course, I did my degree and PG in English literature. So literature, kind of all literature come from the basically the same root. What would happen is, even if you look at Malayalam literature, the modern part of it is very much connected to Western literature, English literature. And then, of course, Malayalam literature has a compact syllabus, has a syllabus that is that stays within your hand.
You can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. So that's amazing to know the strategy, the kind of thing. So after listening to, what I felt is, I have done a lot of interviews with other people as well. So you had a reason for civil service, point number one. Second thing is, you're very focused from the public point of view. You did never want to show that so-called, I am an IAS officer. No, I am an officer for the public, for the public and of the public, something like that. So that is actually a wonderful message, Gokul, which I would love to, express to the, viewers who are watching this also. See, Gokul is somebody who's not got civil service for the so-called tagline, where he understood the purpose while he was writing the examination, especially the mains examination, from what he said. Matlab, even approaching the, mains answer writing with different keywords like critically analyze, evaluate, examine on various topics, you kept the common man or the public in mind. From that perspective, you did it. That's a wonderful approach, Gokul, because I feel very happy to say that people like you are going to serve our nation or our motherland in the most, beneficial way. Because people like you are required, the upcoming younger generations, to mold this nation to a nation which is always outstanding, as always, because Hamara India, we are incredible in everything, in culture, diversity,
Yeah,
and so many
exactly.
factors. Of course, we have
Exactly.
negatives, but now those negatives should not be highlighted. That's always a stuff. You have to kind of improving the positivity. And I'm so happy to know that such wonderful candidates have been scrutinized and selected properly by the UPSC panel. Seriously, Gokul. And now, apart from all this strategy stuff, I'm going to ask you something which is very, very, important. In fact, many aspirants think that once you are a civil servant, you have to dedicate, 9 to 12 hours a day. Then that is point number one. Second thing is they think that they have to cut them from the social media network and also from socializing with people in common. Because from your, from your point of view, I understood that it is debating. From again, we belong to the same organizations again. So seeing us, seeing me, Pradesh Shetton and all, you learned a lot. You are saying, I'm happy for that. Thank you for that. Now, that has enabled you to connect polity, geography, economy, and sociology and all subjects of UPSC like that, right?
Yeah.
So, which means that socializing is one of the important factor in UPSC, provided you are keeping a limit on what you are doing and the focus, prioritizing, having a balance. So, what is your take or what is your opinion regarding the so-called myths of UPSC that you shouldn't socialize much, you shouldn't be active in social media, etc. What is your point of view to the aspirants, a message to aspirants?
Yeah, see, again, what happens is we are coming back to that thing. UPSC or what the job profile demands is that whatever service you get into, the civil services have 24 services, and almost all the services you are supposed to interact with the public. And if you are saying that, okay, I am writing this exam to get into a service where I have to interact with the public, and to study for that exam, I am going to cut off from the public, it is, kind of an oxymoron. It does not make any sense. It does not make any logical connection whatsoever. See, the thing is, uh, like you said, you have to strike a balance. I'm not saying that, okay, all aspirants are supposed to go around everywhere and waste all their time, but you have to strike a balance. Some of my friends are preparing for civil service, and to them what I say is, uh, if you go, unless you take a day off once in a while, it is very likely that you are going to suffer a nervous breakdown at some point of time. Because if you always go preparation, I am going to study for 16 hours, I'm not going to get enough sleep and do that. Ultimately, when the exam comes, you are going to be too much stressed out. And then you wouldn't have the proper clarity to write the answers. I don't think that is how it works. Uh, in From my perspective and in my experience, what happens is, you should always, this is a grueling exam. This is not just an academic exercise, but this is an exam that tests your emotional toughness. This is an exam that tests your willpower. And to crack that, you need to have an active, very active, um, what an emotional framework and a very active support group. Unless you have that, unless you maintain a couple of people to whom you can talk, to whom you can share your concerns, and with whom you could once in a while chill out as well. Unless that happens, it is not going to work out very happily for you. Because even if you clear the exam, even after that you need the support group, and even after that you need to go out into the public. A civil servant without an attitude for public connections is basically no use.
Wonderful. Yes, that's the
and
point.
and the thing is, there is another, kind of utilitarian thing as well.
Hmm.
If when after the mains, say you cracked mains and you're gonna go for your interviews, you are going to sit and fill out your DAF, the detailed application form. It asks for all kinds of things like your hobbies, your achievement, your leadership skills. Unless you have public interactions, how are you going to say, I have done this and this and this as leaders? How are you going to
Yes.
say, I've worked in this and that NGO? because that is what makes an impression to the interview board.
Exactly.
Unless you have a hobby, how are you going to write 2 hobbies there?
Wonderful. Because UPSC doesn't need only bookworms.
Yeah,
They need
exactly.
both your IQ and EQ, intellectual quotient and emotional quotient, to work together.
Yeah.
That is why it is said that UPSC wants people, apart from the bookish knowledge, somebody who's very, vocational or practical in what they do, and he should have a practical experience. Very true, very true. And that's another kudos and hats off to you for such a wonderful answer. In fact, when I'm talking to you in a Gokul, I feel, come on, this person is a hub of positivity, a hub of motivation to so many people. It's not just a two-way interaction or an interview, but when somebody watches this, I think they will get a lot from you, because more than the strategy or anything, a purpose for strategy is defined by you. Point number one. Second is, you wrote your examination for a purpose. Come on, that is not just becoming IAS officer from the public point of view. What the civil service exactly demands from the keyword civil. Wonderful. That's another thing. And third thing is, and students like you and officers, now the young officer like you, will be such a motivation or such an inspiration for so many people to come. So now, apart from all this academic stuff, tell me one thing, Gokul. The moment you receive, because again, one more thing about Gokul is that he is also a PhD research scholar. So now a long way journey. So he'll be doctor in some time in literature. I'm so happy for that as well. So now in this journey, I know the life of a researcher is totally different, because I myself is a PhD research scholar in economics. So the life of a researcher and a civil servant, totally they're two different things.
Yeah.
So how did you bring those two components under one umbrella?
Basically, much of what happened to me is circumstantial. I cleared my JRF back in 2017.
Wonderful.
And
Kudos to you for that.
yeah, at that point of time, I was just doing my MA first year, first sem actually. And JRF gives me, the scholarship gives me a validity of 2 years. And within those 2 years, I have to join research. So by the time 2019 came about, I cleared prelims and then I had to join PhD. Neither of those I could give up, because both of those were important enough. So I decided, okay, or what I always think is, you have to live in the present moment. You have to have what you have the control of is the present moment. Don't think much ahead. Just do what you have to in the present moment. When I was preparing for mains, I was preparing for mains, and then I would prepare for. I would study for some time, and when I get bored or uncomfortable or whatever, I would set aside some time to make my synopsis, refine my synopsis, and make it good enough. And actually, what happened was, my synopsis presentation fell right in the middle of my mains exams. On September 18th, 19th, and 20th, I wrote my essay paper and GS 1, 2, 3, 4. On 22nd, I gave my synopsis presentation. On 28th, I wrote my optional, and 29th, my final paper.
So you manage everything in that. It's just about the priorities you give.
Yeah, as in when I was trying to when I was presenting my synopsis, I totally focused on that. I wasn't thinking that, okay, in a couple of days I'll have to write my optional exam. I wasn't going like that. Those 2-3 hours, I just focused on doing my presentation properly. It kind of it's how you focus on things, how you keep the clarity of thought in the present moment.
So how well you are good in reading newspapers? How will you update yourself? Like it is said that a UPSC aspirant who doesn't go with the reading of newspaper is not going to crack it up. But some people, we are not robots to read 10 newspapers in a day. Come on. So I was just asking you regarding current affairs. So now we know that current affairs is one of the most important, soul of UPSC, I can say, because every subject is linked with current affairs. So now an aspirant reading 2 to 3 newspapers in a day, it's not that logical, because with regard to time, maybe in the initial stage of preparations you can do that, but not after that. So what is the strategy you followed with regard to, the current affairs strategy? How did you prepare for it? What is your, suggestions to the upcoming aspirants?
See, I wasn't reading. What happened with me was, I started basically reading newspapers a long way ago. I think from the middle of my class 12, I was reading at least one newspaper quite regularly. Uh, and for that, I used to find time somehow. I would read newspaper while traveling, because you can get e-papers today. You can read it while traveling. I would
Yeah.
read it. I would read it during my PG times and all. I used to read it between the class intervals
So
because
you used to read the Hindu, the Indian Express.
I basically used to read the Hindu. Uh, I wouldn't go for 2 3 newspapers. That is not very convenient. Not gonna really work.
Yeah,
I
any
would
of which
read.
you feel comfortable.
Yeah. What I used to do was, after a point you get to what very logically realize what articles are important, what which are not. uh,
Hmm.
as everyone says, the editorials are important, the op-eds, the things that come in the center, opinion pieces, those are very important. Sometimes there is a ground zero column in Hindu, which I really used to like, because the first part of it is anecdotal, but then the second part is quite factual.
Hmm.
Then there would be other articles which eventually you naturally know what to read and what not to. And it is
Okay, so
very
that is
important
what
that you
you followed. Okay.
it is very important that you figure it out as quickly as possible, because unless that happens, unless you figure out what to read and what not to, you waste a lot of your time.
I
Then
understand.
of course I used to follow Yojana regularly, and again, what I used to do was, I wouldn't sit a lot of Yojana in one reading, because Yojana is quite dry.
Yeah.
You would fall asleep on the Yojana and you wouldn't read anything. I,
So this is what you followed. So
instead
current affairs.
yeah, instead what I used to do was, I used to read a bit of Yojana every day.
A small bit of everything makes a huge
Ah,
result. Wonderful. So that's an amazing information to the aspirants as well regarding current affairs. So we had a lot of discussions in a very enthusiastic, in fact, a positive manner. So let's wind up. And before that, another question to you is, what is your opinion about these online platforms? Again, let's say, because I'm a faculty of Unacademy, what do you say? What do you feel about the platforms as such? Because have you taken any classes of Unacademy?
uh, I haven't had the time to take an academics classes, because, like I said, I've been doing this, that, and everything, and I couldn't sit still on a place and listen to someone for
I
an hour
understand.
or two.
Okay, that's not an issue. But anyway, but you recommending this to so many other people as well, I feel. So it will indeed
Yeah,
great pleasure. Yeah. Tell me.
because see what happens is, online platforms are good because, number one, you kind of democratize education. There are, like I said, if I were right now in my rural home, I couldn't go for any physical classroom, I couldn't go for any coaching institute. And then again, another thing is, actually these platforms like Unacademy gives us, it brings convenience, because what I used to do was, uh, there are all these small classes from an academy, and such sources. uh, I needed to get some quick information during my mains preparation. I would sit and listen.
Mm,
Those would be quite factual, quite short, convenient, and everything. And I would sit and listen. Uh, Again, if you are following a regular and rigorous schedule of coaching, if you are say you are getting an year aside for practice, then again you can sit in the comfort of your home. You can uh, kind of manage your time better with online courses.
wonderful. So that's an important,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you said. So finally, can you tell me, before winding up, in one or two sentences, or let's say in one or two couple of points, a simple message to all the upcoming aspirants from your end, Gokul? Because from you, what I feel is you have defined your disability into abilities. That is what I can see. You have defined your disability into ability, and that's an amazing moment for me as well, being a from the same place. So quickly, before winding up, a short message to the aspirants.
See, what I have to say is, uh, civil service, if you are an aspirant of UPSC civil service, whether you crack it or not, you are not going to regret your decision to become an aspirant, because this makes you into a different person. This kind of opens you up. This kind of molds you. The kind of things that you have to study, the vast amount of syllabus you have to cover, the different kinds of perspectives that you have to inculcate into yourself. This makes into a different person, and you won't regret becoming that new person ever, because even if you don't crack the civil service exam, because everyone doesn't, even if you don't crack the exam, you are going to use this particular knowledge, the information, the perspectives that you got from this particular journey in some other place, and thus reach a good position, thus become someone important, thus become someone significant, thus become someone who can change the way society works. So this is a learning experience, and if you choose to become an aspirant, I can tell you, you won't regret it.
Wonderful. So that's an amazing, amazing message given by Gokul to all the upcoming aspirants as well. Thank you, my young officer, for such wonderful words. It was amazing to have some valuable time with you. And through this interview, I hope you'll be able to reach many, many aspirants and touch their hearts with the wonderful words you've spoken. So thank you so much from me and from Unacademy for spending such valuable time with us, and hoping to see you flying in colors and doing great for our society and contribute great to the process of nation building.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Gokul. Once again, my heartfelt wishes from me and Unacademy for this achievement that you have done. And keep going. I should be hearing more and more about you. And that's an added advantage to me, because being my junior, come on, that will be an added advantage to me. Come on, my junior has done that. Thank you for having you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.